So this is a bit of a different video today. In my English class, I was reading this book. It's called 1491. It's I don't remember who it's written by. I'll throw a picture of it on the screen. But anyway, the point is, oh, it's by Charles Mann. Anyway, it's about like just the Americas, kind of before Columbus, but a bit after too. A bit after too. It's about Native America. It's basically it. And I was reading it for English because we're just supposed to read a book, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I took a read at it, and I mean, there's not many. I mean, I think it's interesting, yeah, but there's a couple of aspects that I find that are like really interesting. The first thing is there's two. The first thing is those big ass Olmec heads, like by the Olmec people. They're just giant heads, and they're funny looking. I love them. And the other thing is Atahualpa, the last Sapa Inca or emperor of the Incan Empire. And I want to talk about him because he's a very interesting character. So we're gonna start from the beginning. His father died in 1528 of smallpox. His name was Huayna Capac, and he didn't choose his second heir because the second heir to the throne, because his first heir was Ninan Kuyuchi, and he also died of smallpox. So that left the throne open. So that left the Atahualpa and his half brother Huascar. And there's this power surge, and enter the Incan Civil War. So Atahualpa was stationed in Quito in the north, which you might know as the modern capital of Ecuador. And Huascar was located in the Incan capital of Cusco. This was a 6-year-long battle, and at the end of it, Atahualpa prevails, and it was in 1532 that he won, and he became the Sapa Inca of the Inca Empire in 1532. In the middle of this civil war, the empire actually reached its greatest extent, which was in 1530. That's an interesting fact. So that left that Huascar is captured. He's kind of thrown in jail, whatever. This is where things start getting a little bit wacky. So he came into power, and he killed all of the historians and destroyed all of the records in Inca. I don't know why. Just a psychopath, I guess. But it's for this thing called Pachacuri, which means turning over time and space. It was this ritual thing that they did to signify that they were starting things over. So yeah, that's one thing. This is also a bit wacky. He lived a life of extreme luxury, like more luxurious than I think any leader of any empire or nation at that point in time had ever lived. Probably to this day, if I'm being honest. So he drank from gold cups. All right, a lot of people did that. He wore silver-soled sandals, and he wore a cloak of only bat skin. Like, they skinned enough bats to make a cloak, and he wore it. So, he also wore a lot of jewelry, He had this feather headband called an ilato, a golden mace called a champi, and he had king-size golden ear spools, as any king would, at least in Native America. And to think that wasn't enough, he traveled on gold and silver litter embellished with parrot feathers. So he walked on just little grains of gold and silver, and then it's lined on top with parrot feathers. Why? Why is he? Does he need? What was the need for? I don't even care. Anyway, now enters his demise, also known as Francisco Pizarro and the Conquistadors. And it was way too easy for them. Like, they just walked in and they practically took over the whole thing. So Atahualpa and Francisco Pizarro, the conquistador, had their first meeting in the city of Cajamarca, where the 80,000 strong Incan army was confronted by 168 Spaniards. So there was quite a few more Incans than Spaniards, as you can tell. It wasn't much. They gave a few speeches, they drank, they watched Spanish horsemanship, and they were just vibing. They were just chilling. The very next day, like literally the next day, they just broke out in battle. Like that was crazy. It just flipped that fast. Pizarro ambushed Atahualpa while he was like walking through the main square of Cajamarca. This was the Battle of Cajamarca, by the way. Casualties: Inca, 7,000. 7,000 Incans died that day. You know how many Spaniards died? I'll give you a hint. It's less than 1. 0 people died for the Spaniards. 0. None of them died. I don't know how, like, that even happened. Like, that's baffling that not a single Spaniard died. Anyway, Atahualpa's captured, as any smart person nowadays would do, they held him for ransom. So the ransom was that they had to fill a 6.2 long by 4.8 meter wide and a height of 2.5 meters, filled with gold objects and jewelry. For context, that's like 20 feet by 16 feet by like 8 feet, which is big. That's a big area. Like, that is a big room. And then they had to fill that same room 2 more times with silver objects and stuff like that. Like, just straight up pulled up Burl Ives, like started singing silver and gold, and like made them just keep it coming. It took them 8 months to do that. It took them 8 months. They paid the ransom. Like, they actually did that. Like, they had that much gold and silver, which alone is just bad. Like, this whole story feels like a fever dream to me. Anyway, and for context, that much gold and silver, it's valued at $50 million today. Today, that'd be $50 million. Francisco Pizarro held the Incan emperor for ransom for $50 million, and the people paid it. I don't know why. He doesn't even seem that great of a leader. He was not even like an emperor for like, he was an emperor for like 8 months. He was hardly even like leading this country or empire, whatever you want to call it, whatever. So Pizarro received the ransom, and what's funny is he just killed Atahualpa anyway. He just killed him anyway. They try, like, he received the ransom. He's like, yeah, we'll just try you anyway, and they executed him. They executed him. Originally, they were gonna burn him at the stake, like they found out he was a witch in Salem, Massachusetts. But that got changed to strangulation is what I found out, which I'm assuming that meant he got like hanged, but I don't know. I for some reason, like some guy like sitting on top of him, just choking him out like this, just doesn't sound right to me. Hanging sounds like much more like sensible. So like literally like a couple months after, the Incan Empire like literally fell, like all through rebellion and disease and invasion. A few years later, it was diminished to what is today Spanish Peru, and the capital of Lima was founded, which is still the capital today. So that's the history of one of history's most interesting leaders, to say the least. I sure enjoyed talking about this. I'll probably do something like this again. This is actually one of the more fun videos I think I've made. Anyway, that's it. That's it. Let me know if you want more of these. I actually enjoyed it. I'll probably end up doing it, but anyway. See ya.